So, Nintendo being able to brick your console as a means to combat piracy. It's no surprise I've ranted about Nintendo now and again, and it's gotten some traction, though I don't know how much it's going to gain traction here, but if people are going to turn a blind eye to this simply because they can play Mario World in a open world setting, Mario Kart world, excuse me, this is going to be some bullshit revisionist history, because you know when Nintendo shut down Slippy because people wanted to play the best Super Smash Bros. Game with acceptable netcode that not even Nintendo themselves could make work? Yeah, I think we know how Brawl was back in the day. I know there was some other legal he said, she said bullshit with Slippy and being part of a tournament scene or whatever the fuck. I know a lot of people were awfully quiet after the fact when Sephiroth was announced for Super Smash Bros. It's almost as if some people can't let go and have their rose-red tinted glasses on so fucking hard that it's part of the fucking skin. This is fucking dumb, alright? I know someone's gonna try to call me a pessimistic piece of shit because I ranted about fucking Dusk Bloods on the Switch 2 or Elden Ring getting a release on the Switch, yeah. I'm actually more impressed that something like Silent Hill 2 Remake got a release on goodoldgames.com just for the sole fact that you can play one of the most pointless remakes of all time on the PC without much restrictions, unlike playing literally every fucking PC game ever that isn't made by some indie corporate slop on the store pages that are on the internet now. Yes, I would mention Doom 2016 as part of that lineup, but alas, it has features that are not available because of digital rights management, in which to that I can say that can fuck off. I'm not surprised they're cracking down on piracy because legit, whenever they announce something like Zelda Breath of the Wild or Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, two Zelda games I quite frankly don't give two capital flying fucks simply because of weapon degradation that just does not need to be in a Zelda game whatsoever. I'm not surprised they would sink so low, but rather than just explaining how much of a piece of shit they are, I'm just gonna mention that people who don't know of this are either going to act surprised or they're going to defend it. There's always somebody out there willing to defend gutter trash as long as it exists, because they need to feel special on the fucking internet, and this is going to be no different. I was kind of considering getting it after the fact, since I know I didn't get my Switch at launch, and it did not brick, unlike DSP's, thankfully. By the way, his ordeal of getting two Switch 2s is just fucking retarded, but I'm not even going to get into that. I know I got mine for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and I'm sure that if there's going to be another new Smash Bros. Game, I'm sure it's going to be just as hype as the last one, but it's probably going to be ruined due to the whole fact that it's going to be made by gamers for gamers, but only on the Nintendo 69. Whatever. Is Nintendo going to have it so that if they detect any form of piracy outside of the Switch 2, that they could compromise your account that you use for Nintendo Wii U and even the Nintendo Switch? Are you fucking serious? It's already bad enough that their lineup of GameCube games is just literally anything but impressive, and people have probably played them to death. And even when something like Turok 2, the 30 frames per second masterpiece that is on the Nintendo 64 Switch Online, people are like, oh, well, we already have the Switch version that's on there, so why even bother with that? Multiplayer, I don't know if that version has the co-op glitch that's in there, which was a fairly interesting bug to say the least. And witnessing actual quality compared to, well, whatever other games are on there, but whatever. People, again, will defend this shit as if it's some neglected masterpiece that came out at the wrong time or whatever, but, you know, gotta be special on the internet. Oh, sweet dark child of mine. Are you going to yell at me again because I said Silent Hill 2 Remake is pointless? Yes, because you'll defend Elden Ring as if it's some masterpiece of a game. Your precious Elden Ring is not only on the Switch 2, but now we have to deal with possibly one of the greatest Japanese role-playing games of all time. Got butchered to death by censorship back on the Super Nintendo, and now without the likes of Toriyama and the dude from Final Fantasy and whoever else made it, I forget. I honestly forget the Lightning in a Bottle trio or some shit. I know it was a very big deal, and it was a one-of-a-kind at the time. But why the fuck do people want a remake of this shit? Why? The game is already on Steam as is, and I'm pretty sure there was some bullshit with having to change the game because of modern times, because characters like Flea is in the fucking game. You already have the DS version, which is essentially best of both worlds. Having the cutscenes from the PlayStation version, and having extra content that's essentially exclusive to that platform. I'm honestly not certain if the PC version has the same thing as the DS version, but you pretty much have an accessible way to play the best game ever made, according to a lot of people, and it's not just some niche classic either. It generally is considered to be one of the best games of all time, made by some of the greatest people of all time. But why the fuck do people expect this to get the Dragon Warrior 3 treatment and thinking that it's not going to be any better than that? Shit. That was a big-ass fucking deal, too. Especially with the whole promise of the game getting the Octopath Traveler treatment, which I was initially excited for, because I fucking love Octopath Traveler. I really should put more time into it, to be honest. But for a game of that nature, beats the fuck out of whatever Expedition 33 is. Seriously, it's, at least it ain't a fucking walking hallway simulator. If I want to play that shit, I can at least play Crash Bandicoot, The Wrath of Cortex, that's not made by Naughty Dog, and uses nitros as much as B-Team from Software likes to use Enemy Gank Squad. Whatever. Wrath of Cortex is better than a lot of game sequels out there. Change my mind. More is the same, not good, but more the same with The Last of Us. Here is my money. Considering that Silent Hill 2, going back to that again, funny enough, just got butchered by people who apparently don't know how to do mental awareness or mental health writing and shit. The equivalent to what Jado covered in his Smile film reviews. Very insightful review, but just the topic of those films is just handled in the most inappropriate way possible, and the fact there's a fucking fanbase for it.
You should kill yourself now!
Every 40 seconds, one death, suicide. Every 40 seconds, suicide.
Silent Hill 2 Remake got a bunch of passes from dark children and light men alike. Now we're going to be getting the same shit that people pardon Dragon Warrior 3 or Dragon Quest. I don't fucking care what it's called. I'm going to go with the localization name just to be a fucking asshole. And people pardon that too. People will pardon anything because of fucking nostalgia. And it's fucking terrible and gross, alright? I didn't have much bias or nostalgia for Chrono Trigger. Yes, I played it back on ZSNES, the DOS version, or whatever program that was on Windows XP and shit. I did not get very far into it, but I know it is a certified classic. If people think that this remake of a game that people love the fuck out of is going to get the same blissful treatment as something like Blast the Master Zero, or the gold standard that is the Resident Evil 1 remake on the GameCube that was a timed exclusive, oops. No. No, it's not. That's fucking ridiculous. And the fact that people are now also pulling the fact that, well, actually, Chrono Cross wasn't actually that bad of a game years later, even though the fact that, by today's standards, it would be using that really shitty argument of it's a good game, but just not a good Chrono Trigger game. I fucking hate that argument, dude. I cannot stand when people say that. If it was not given the Chrono Cross license or whatever, or Chrono Trigger, then what's to say that it can be enjoyed on its own, alright? Not to turn this into a mayonnaise condiment tier, but this is why I can enjoy something like Doom 3 despite the fact that it's called Doom 3, but isn't actually a sequel to Doom 2, but just a marketing ploy and nothing more. But even if you were to call it something else, in an alternate lifetime, no, not timeline, lifetime, it could still stand on its own, having decent horror and all that shit. This game getting this remake treatment, I would not be surprised if people were to fucking defend this, just like The Last of Us. And its shitty sequel, and its shitty remaster, and its shitty remake, and its shitty sequel that got a remaster. But remember, The Last of Us was the best game of all time. Jay's review told me that, so here's like 100 fucking versions of The Last of Us. But remember, they're not fanboys. They just like the game. Okay. Whatever, dude. I don't know what I could possibly say about this. And I'm gonna try to drag it on just to be an asshole. But what the fuck is the point of this, okay? First of all, you already have fear of missing out mentality in a game that's single player. In a first-person shooter, nonetheless. Which I don't understand. And in a fucking Doom game to boot, alright? I don't understand this. I don't understand why people have to defend this shit. Especially in a fucking Doom game, okay? I don't fucking get this. Alright? Even games that have similar cosmetics in a similar setting, at least they would give you some form of, I don't know, stat enhancement requirements, or being part of a modifier or some shit, or anything to actually make it worth its while, or actually being a cool unlockable or post-game secret that you would have to actually earn instead of being one of those paid shills because you're into Doom and you want to get everything out of it, but whoops, it's part of Twitch, which means you're going to miss out on a skin you can never get again, and it's part of some marketing scheme just so you can have your fancy skin in a first-person shooter that's single player, and it's fucking dumb, alright? I don't get this at all. Seriously, it makes no fucking sense to me. Why the fuck is a game that's primarily single player this time, there's no tacked on multiplayer, so I can't use that excuse, but a game that's single player, that's known to not have a lot of whole cosmetics in there to begin with, for good reason, because it'd be fucking stupid, and the fact that people will again defend this because, oh, well, who wants to get mad at getting free shit when it's literally tied to a streaming site that you have to sign up for just to get it, and if you don't get it within a certain time frame, you're out of luck. I hate these whataboutisms that people love to defend for a fucking game that they claim that they just like the game and aren't acting like a fucking fanboy, but you sure have that fanboy attitude when people like me have actual reasonings as to why this even needs to exist in the fucking first place, okay? It's fucking dumb. At least have skins for your guns, if anything. At least that would make more sense. The thing that you would see more on your screen than the fucking helmet or some shit. You know, like the old classic health bar that people love to doom over. I almost said goon. Doom over the fact. The whole reference to, hey guys, look, it's just like Doom again. That must mean it's awesome. My god, you people are fucking retarded. And I'm sure that final Doom rant that I made talking about the whole pardoning of modern Doom lore is gonna go by real well. I've already seen you piece of shit dislike the video just because I dare have a negative opinion about the fucking game, and I'm sure this will do just fine by people who want to defend such terrible practices. I would do this in 3 separate videos, but that's 3 times the work, and I would rather make use out of actually recording footage for once that isn't particularly pertaining to the topic, because what is actual consistency, Hidetaka Miyazaki and George R.R. Martin? I can't wait for Dustbloods to be Switch exclusive for the next 10 years, just like your precious Bloodborne, that runs at 30 frames per second on console. Oh, well, the game's on PC now, and it can run in the emulator. Well, how many of those fucking people can run that shit? It ain't Nesticle or any of those old-ass emulators made by people who would be condemned for simply being offensive. Now be a buddy and fuck off. Now, that being said, I think it's time to get some fresh hair. And I'm gonna go touch some grass. Ass! Fuck!